Hello, hello, hello. This is Cam. Welcome back to our program. As usual, we are all about Jamaica. So, if you are interested in Jamaica, if you love the people, if you love the language, this is the place for you. So, you can log on to Jamaica Ayawide or Authentic Jamaican Memory Lane. Those are the two channels that I operate that focus on Jamaican culture and everything Jamaican. Now, usually for this segment, we look at four Jamaican proverbs or wise sayings, but we're going to vary a little bit today. And what we're actually going to be looking at are 8 tips. I'm going to give you 8 tips on how to stay alive when you visit Jamaica. Now, this is a wonderful place, lovely tropical island. Millions of people have visited our island and keep coming back for more because people are great, the food is great, the culture is great, the music, everything is great. However, there are some persons who have come and have narrowly escaped with their life because they made some mistakes. They did not know what you are about to find out today. So, listen to these 8 tips if you want to stay alive when you visit Jamaica. The first tip, if you want to stay alive when you visit Jamaica, do not, and I mean do not ever step on a Jamaican man's shoes. Jamaican men pride themselves in how clean and well kept their shoes are, and especially if they are stepping out on the town, stepping out for a night on the town, do not step on their shoes. This even goes for schoolboys. Jamaican schoolboys will take their shoe brushes and their shoe polish and their buffing cloths. They will carry these in their bag. Sometimes you will look in the bag, you won't see any books, you won't see any pencils, but you're going to see their shoe brush, shoe polish, and a rag to buff their shoes. They take great pride in this. Even if the clothes are not all that, even if nothing else is all that, the shoes of a Jamaican man or boy is always clean. And if you step on it, whether you're walking on the road, whether you're in the bus, whether you're in the supermarket, wherever you are, pay close attention to the proximity to a Jamaican man's shoe and make sure that you do not cross over into that sacred space and make the mistake of stepping on his shoe. You may not make it out to tell the story. Next tip, do not, and you'll find a lot of these tips have to do with Jamaican men, right? So I'm giving you 8 tips, maybe about 3 of them, or maybe 4 specifically have to do with Jamaican men. Do not ever, ever insult a Jamaican man's mother. Do not allow yourself to make this mistake. Don't say anything bad about his mom. The worst insult you can say to a Jamaican man, hey boy, I go suck your mother. Hey boy, I go suck your mother. No, a rational person or someone coming from outside of the island, a rational human being might say, but okay, suck your mother, I mean, Didn't you suck your mom when you were an infant? Didn't you suckle on her breast? Yes, he did. And to sane human beings, this could never be an insult because infants suckle their mom. But remember, you're dealing with a Jamaican, right? This is not a sane human being. So to tell a Jamaican man, hey boy, go suck your mother, run. If you intend to be brave enough to do this, you must also be wise enough to run within seconds after doing it because he's going to be coming at you. Okay? Whether it's a tiny little fella or it's a grown man, never insult a Jamaican man's mother. No, the relationship between a Jamaican man and his mom, the bond is really tight for most Jamaican men, right? The bond is really tight and you don't want to interfere in that. All right, so that's tip number 2. Never insult a Jamaican man's mother, even if you just heard him quarreling with his mom, even if he's not on good terms with his mom, you don't make the mistake and interfere between him and his mom. Next survival tip, if you want to stay alive when you visit Jamaica, do not ever ask a Jamaican for the money that you lent them. Please understand, when you lend a Jamaican money, that's indefinite. You need to understand it. The loan is indefinite. Even if they say, okay, lend me $10 until next week, lend me $50 until the end of the month. Yes, they may give you a time, but that's just for the official thing, right? That's just for official purposes. There is actually no time limit. As a matter of fact, if a Jamaican borrows money from you, the unofficial terms are that, first of all, them borrowing money from you does not necessarily mean that they don't have any money. That's the first misconception. You need to clear that up, right? If they borrow money from you, it doesn't mean they don't have that amount or even more in a fixed deposit somewhere or in their bank account savings or under their mattress or even in their pocket. They might have more than you. The thing is, your money is the loan money. That's what they borrow to get things done. Their money is different. Their money is for, regular spending. And in terms of repaying the loan, no, please understand that they are going to, when they do get back extra money, the repayment is going to come from the extra money. You need to understand this. It's gonna save you a lot of stress. You need to understand. The repayment of the loan is going to come from any extra money that they might get, maybe an inheritance someday, maybe they win the lotto someday, or they come into some heavy duty cash that they're gonna need to take care of their bills first, pay their children's school fees, go on vacation, buy a car, all of that. So if they have any change left over in time to come, and remember, this is indefinite, so we're talking, it could be weeks, months, years, never, right? This is important. A lot of persons lend Jamaicans money and they don't understand these things, and it causes a lot of unnecessary strife. Whereas if you had somebody to explain to you beforehand what the terms are and you understand that this is an indefinite loan and you really don't have the right to ask back for repayment, you see, these are things you need to understand, right? When you understand these things, then you will lend the money and know that don't go and ask. That's not within your right to go and ask. You need to wait patiently until the Jamaican comes into some cash where they can afford now after they take care of all the stuff that they need to take care of for themselves and they're satisfied that this is extra cash now that weighing down their pocket, then that's when they're going to pay you back. You need to understand this, right? If you have the insanity to ask the Jamaican now to repay you, so let's say the Jamaican said to you, all right, I'm gonna pay you on Friday, or I'm gonna pay you as soon as I get my salary at the end of the month. If you're stupid enough to go to them on Friday or to go to them at the end of the month expecting the money, and if you're stupid enough to demand it, and if you're stupid enough to try and explain that you know you have your own bills, your own kids need to, the school fee needs to be paid, you have food to buy, if you're stupid enough to bother yourself and go and explain these things, you might not be able to walk away from the situation. You get what I'm saying, right? So this is why I'm reaching out to explain to all those who, you know, you see Jamaica, you might be in your country and you see a Jamaican in your country and you say, hey, this looks like a nice fellow. I love how he moves. I love how she talks. I love how, you know, they just have a vibes. Yes, Jamaica, we have a vibe about us. This is undeniable. So you might be now in your country and say, okay, I think it would be a great idea to go and visit Jamaica. And yes, that's a brilliant idea, awesome idea, but you just need to know some tips. If you want to make it out alive to go back to your country, you need to understand that the rules that apply in the other countries of the world don't necessarily apply here in Jamaica. Right? This is something you need to understand before you come so that there are no nasty surprises. You don't have to go back limping. You know, people don't have to come and get you out in the nick of time, that kind of thing. All right, so those are 3 tips. So number 4, don't come to Jamaica and be driving on the road and you see a Jamaican in the road and you're honking your horn expecting them to come out of the road. Don't do that. You hear me? Don't do that. In other countries, if you're driving down the road and a pedestrian is walking in the middle of the road, yes, you can honk. And, you know, logically, you would expect them to come onto the road in other countries of the world, right? But when you come to Jamaica, that's not the rule here. We don't go by that rule, okay? So the rule here is the pedestrian has the right to walk in the middle of the road for as long as they want, and you as a motorist cannot honk. Well, you can, but you're going to be ignored, right? You can honk, you can quarrel, you can come out of the vehicle and make noise, but the Jamaican is not obligated to come out of your way. That's just the rules here. It's actually part of the constitution here. The Jamaican is not obligated to come out of your way. Have you ever seen cows? Have you ever seen cattle when they're walking along the road? And maybe you're driving in the countryside and you see some cattle and they're crossing the road. Have you ever noticed how they're just going at their own pace and it doesn't make any sense for you to honk or put your head through the window and shout obscenities? It doesn't really matter. The cow is just going to walk slowly at her own pace. That's Cows actually have Jamaican genes. Yeah. So cows have strong Jamaican genes in them. That's where they get that thing from, where when they're walking, the road belongs to them and you really just have to wait, right? So this is, like I said, is part of the laws here. And you as a motorist, you just have to wait, especially if you're a motorist from overseas, you really don't stand a chance. You get what I'm saying? So all you need to do is wait for the Jamaican to cross or wait for them to do whatever it is that they're doing in the road, and then you go, right? Because really and truly, if you try to quarrel with the Jamaican, more than likely they're just going to turn on and say, lick me now, lick me if you're bad. Lick me if you're bad. You can't wait. Because everybody knows Jamaicans aren't afraid of vehicles. Vehicles really can't do anything to them. Yeah, we're made of different materials. So even if you try to run us over with the vehicle, it's not going to work. Just like with the cow. Have you ever seen anyone try to run over a cow with a vehicle? Come on, right? So even if you're on the highway, if you're driving through the city, if you're in the countryside, if you're in a go slow, it doesn't matter which zone you're in. If you want to stay alive and if you want to keep your stress levels down and if you want to obey the laws of Jamaica, when you're on the road and a Jamaican pedestrian comes over into your way in the middle of the road, just wait. Just have a little patience. Wait for them to do what they're doing. All right. The next tip, number 4. So if you want to stay alive while you visit our beautiful island, never, ever, ever. And this particular tip is just for persons who, if you know that you're not a very, very clean person, right? If you know that you're not meticulous when it comes to food, this tip is for you. For other persons who you're clean, you know how to prepare food well, you know how to bring it in the kitchen, right? This tip is not for you. This is just for the ones who know that they have some nasty habits of hygiene. They don't wash their hands, they have long dirty nails. This tip is for you. Don't offer food to a Jamaican, or your pride is going to be wounded because the Jamaican is going to refuse and they're not going to apologize. They're just going to say, no, I don't want it. And they're going to make up their faces. They're going to look at the food in a very scornful way. And this is something that Jamaicans can't help. It's in our DNA. So even the ones who want to spare your feelings, they're not going to be able to avoid it. That's what I'm saying, right? It's in the Jamaican DNA. So once you see food that looks suspicious, especially if it's boiled dumplings, ackee and saltfish, any kind of pork meal, once it looks suspicious and once the person who is offering it looks suspicious, the Jamaican is not going to be able to help it. We're just gonna And then no, the Jamaican is going to say, no, I'm good, I'm all right. What they mean when the Jamaicans say, I'm good, I'm all right, man, I'm cool, me just eat. What they really mean is, no, they don't want any of your food. And then what might happen, somebody else might offer them something same time and they take it and it's going to confuse you. Because you're going to say, well, isn't this the same person who just said their belly is full, they just ate at the house, they don't want anything, and there they are taking so in order to avoid the confusion, I'm just clearing it up for you. Yes, they are hungry. No, they didn't eat at home. Jamaicans love them belly, them love nyam, but the food has to be clean. They have to feel safe. They look you from head to toe. And if you don't look like someone who took the necessary precautions of hygiene in preparing the food, the Jamaican is going to refuse it. It's not something that we can help. We're just born like that. It's in our blood, it's in our DNA. So you don't need to feel offended. And if you insist, this is the dangerous part now, right? This is where it becomes very dangerous. If you insist that the Jamaican takes the food, just out of, because in other countries, people would accept the food even if they don't want it. They would accept the food out of courtesy because they don't want the person to feel bad. In other countries, persons would do that, but the Jamaican doesn't have that kind of thing, right? So the dangerous part now is when you're going to insist that the Jamaican eat the food that they have just rejected, and that can cause war. You get what I'm saying? It can cause war, and more than likely, you're not going to survive that war. So follow that tip. All right, so those are 4 tips so far. So we're going down. Let me see. So I had 8 tips. That's the 3rd one or the 4th one. Okay. Next tip, right? Do not stand ahead of the Jamaican at the ATM on payday. Other days of the month, it's risky, but it's not all that risky. But at payday, if you go to the ATM and there's a line with Jamaicans, make sure you stand at the back of the line. That's the first thing, and allow them to go and collect their salary from the ATM. If you are in the line and other Jamaicans come, the best advice I would give you is to let them go ahead of you, right? That's the safest advice. But if you want to play if you want to play it brave and bad, and you decide to go into the ATM ahead of them, even if you came before them, right, and you decide to play it bad and go in the ATM ahead of them, only do one transaction. That's what I'm saying, right? Do one transaction and get the hell out. You hear me? One transaction and get the hell out, because if you let a Jamaican stay outside there on payday and the salary is in the ATM and you in there going on as if you don't know how to use the ATM, and you're in there going on as if you have more than one transactions to do, I'm just warning you, prepare for war. That's all I'm saying, right? Don't mess with a Jamaican on payday, because even though his salary pretty much finish before he gets it, because he has borrowed, like I said, the Jamaican is gonna be borrowing from people a lot and have a lot of bills and stuff. So pretty much the salary is finished before he gets it, right? But he still likes the idea of holding it in his hand for a couple minutes. So don't try to come between the Jamaican and that experience, that payday experience of holding the money for a little while before they have to go pay the bills and whatever and give the side chicks and all of that. You cannot allow yourself to come between the Jamaican and his salary on payday. This is a dangerous, dangerous thing for you to do. So, like I said, if you're in the line at the ATM, you see a Jamaican coming, let them go ahead of you, right? If you decide to go first, if you came before them and you decide to go first, I mean, that's really stupid. But if you decide to do that, only one transaction. Don't be in there checking balance and withdrawing some, and then you have to go withdraw another. Don't do that. One transaction. If you have more than one transactions, it's better if you come out and let the Jamaican go in and do what they have to do, and then you go back in, right? One transaction, get the hell out, move away, leave the ATM alone on payday. All right, the next tip, never ask a Jamaican man to sit at the front of a vehicle beside the driver if the driver is a male. This is another dangerous thing for you to do. Jamaican men do not sit beside male drivers in the front seat of a vehicle. It doesn't matter if it's a private car, a public taxi, a bus, it doesn't matter. Because the Jamaican man takes great pride in being macho and alpha and all of that nice stuff. And to him, the front seat of a vehicle is reserved for females, particularly females who have front appearance, as it's called, right? Not for males. Don't make the mistake. If you come to Jamaica and you have access to a vehicle, you're the driver and you're male, or you rent a car, you're the driver, you're a male, do not ask a Jamaican man to sit at the front beside you. Even if it's just the two of you traveling, if he decides of his own to sit with you at the front, okay. Just watch him and see what he does. And if you see him go to the back, don't question it. You don't need any clarification. I'm telling you the reason. You don't need to ask him anything or say to him, come to the front, it's just the two of us. No. That's when you go back home to your country among sane individuals. That's not for here in Jamaica. You have to know how to handle yourself. You have to study the situation and just do what I'm telling you. Okay? If you want to make it back alive, to go home and show your friends the lovely pics of you on the North Coast in your bikini on the beach and eating your fish and festival and bami and ting and ting and ting and whatever. If you want to go back, if you want to make it out alive so you can go show your friends all your pics and show them the videos of you dancing to the reggae music and drinking a red stripe beer and stuff and stuff. The important thing is to make it out alive first, right? So I'm giving you these tips how to make it out alive so you can go back and brag about your Jamaican experience. So the last tip I'm giving you is when you come to Jamaica, and of course, you're going to be in conversation with us Jamaicans, right? We love to talk, we love to entertain our guests, we love to share our opinions on things, we love to talk about politics and sports and world events and all those nice things. When you're in a conversation with a Jamaican, listen to me very carefully. This is the last tip, and this is the most important tip, and this is the one that can really make the difference. It's a life and death situation. When you're in Jamaica and you're having a conversation with Jamaicans, and at some point during the conversation, you realize that the Jamaican is wrong, the Jamaican has said something that doesn't make sense, the Jamaican has said things that he or she knows nothing about, and you pick it up and you realize that it's nonsense, you realize that they are wrong. Do not correct the Jamaican. Do not tell the Jamaican that they are wrong. Do not tell the Jamaican that there is another way of looking at things. Do not suggest to the Jamaican that they should be more open-minded, more objective. That kind of thing doesn't work here. Okay? Allow the Jamaican to think that he is right. Smile and nod, agree with him or her. Allow them to leave the conversation thinking that they are right, thinking that their view is the only acceptable view. This is very important. Leave them alone in their ignorance, because you trying to correct a Jamaican can be a matter of life and death. Take my foolish advice. You're going to find yourself in deep conversation. Jamaicans love to talk. I said that already, right? Jamaicans love to talk. They're very vociferous. They are very outspoken. They love to share their opinions. And most Jamaicans believe that they are right. Most Jamaicans believe that there's no other way of looking at the situation. Most Jamaicans will come to the conversation expecting you to agree with them. They will not be open to any other opinion. So you trying to voice another way of looking at things, that's asking for trouble. And it's unnecessary trouble. You don't have to stir up all of that, right? You're here on the island to enjoy our wonderful hospitality. You're here to, engage with us and enjoy the wonderful food and the music and the sunshine and the beach. That's what you're here for. You're not here to stir up controversy. And if you think you can come to Jamaica and stir up controversy and leave here in one piece, you have another thing coming. Many have tried and many have failed to do that. You're not going to be the first one to try it. Okay? Don't get it in your head that you can come here and tell a Jamaican that they're wrong and leave in one piece. If you want to stay alive, when you visit our wonderful island, with these beautiful, friendly people, you have to follow these tips that I just outlined. Jot down these tips in a little notebook and keep it in your pocket, keep it in your bag. Take it everywhere you go in Jamaica while you are here. Okay? So, those are my tips. Really happy that you're considering coming to the island. I hope I can see you when you come. Just look me up and I'll take you on a tour. In the meantime, keep watching this channel for lovely tips about Jamaica. And every week we look at 4 of our wonderful Jamaican proverbs, wise sayings, and we break them down to get the wisdom that's loaded inside of them. So until next week, this is Come, take care of yourself, and I'll see you then.